Hello, good people. By now you know the deal. If the camera angle is off, it's not by design. I'm blind and it comes with the territory. Aibo. So vele Bantubonke Holomisa. Asho nimbiza ngogeneral. So ubugeneral bakhe sekufika nakuma radio station la delela abantu khona. And kuyenzakalani ngeGNU bafethu? Kuyenzakalani? It appears that Bantu Holomisa, who is the leader of the United Democratic Movement, leader of that party for the past, 29 years and counting, has put his foot in it once again by taking an interview that he otherwise was ill prepared for, or maybe he was over prepared for it. If you haven't checked out the clip yet, I suggest you go to a Gagasi FM, right? It's a radio station based in KwaZulu-Natal where they dared to host a deputy minister of the military and, of course, subsequently the South African National Defence Force. And in this interview, it's a current affairs show hosted by Bab Alex Mtiani, I believe. And Bantubonke, I think he took his name too literally. But anyway, he was invited to talk to the host and to the listeners, right? The nation, Bantu Bonke, right? And apparently, he figured it's an opportunity to show how much he actually disregards or has little value or views black people to be insignificant. Now, granted, he has similar moments when he goes to white radio stations or radio stations like Khulumisingisi corner, right? He will try to be a Casanova of some sorts, or he will be a rebel nyana, say something off kilter to a presenter. But this time around, he went overboard, right? He went on excessively, continuously. Caller after caller, he would interject. He would drop in the occasional, "You are talking nonsense," to a listener. And then the big one came when he said, "Go to hell." Not only to the listener, but to the presenter. This is an entire deputy minister. Now, granted, fine, it's not an official executive position. Is he bitter about that, or what's going on? Or it's just a matter of him being true to form? He's an arrogant, disgusting person who actually exemplifies what the government of national unity is about. Now, what went wrong in this interview is that there's this perception that listeners or presenters ought to hold themselves to a much, much higher level than those who they interview. Yeah, the host, perhaps, but listeners, not so much, right? Because listeners are voters. And unless they're going to be crass and swearing at you, they are entitled to engage you robustly, especially if it is a current affairs live show. What on earth are you expecting if they don't engage you, particularly on issue relating to the South African National Defence Force? Goodness sake, these are the people the soldiers that have been left for dead at Congo, right? What about the border situation that's quite porous? What about the criminal activities in all our borders? And then you expect people to be low-key? There are high stakes. So people must and should engage in, of course, akudlalwa KwaZulu-Natal, as we know, right? They engaged the man. And caller after caller, he just kept on poo-pooing people. Essentially just saying, next, I'm not going to engage you further. You're speaking nonsense, and go to hell. And that's the thing. Why? Because he could not bob and weave, right? That's what you're supposed to do if you find yourself in an awkward position as a person being interviewed. And you would expect someone who describes himself as experienced, given his age, he would know this, right? In fact, these people have an entire communications team dedicated to making them look good. So in other words, he could have even practiced, but he did not. Why? Because he's too arrogant. He thinks of himself as high and mighty, and he knows very well that, Mr. Ramaphosa will not call him out. He will not tell him to stop. He will not tell him to get out of that position and that he's being replaced. And they'll come back and tell you that, oh no, it was just a minor incident. Why? Because who cares, right? Just a bunch of black listeners on KZN. Had that been an ENCA, or had it been a 702, or any other media publication of that sort, I think the storm of this matter would have been far more greater, more significant. So yeah, he couldn't do the basics. That was the first. But secondly, he didn't have decorum. He didn't conduct himself in a professional way. He even interjected when he didn't have to. You see, the problem is, if you've done media interviews, you actually don't have to say that much. You can leave it to the host to probe you, to ask of you to say something. And if you don't have anything to say, then you are not obliged to say anything. But he is so in himself, so arrogant, so full of it, that he figured, I'm invincible. No one will do anything to me, even if this becomes a big issue. I mean, the man, when the interview started, I don't know whether some of you who have checked it out are aware, it commenced with the host, Uput Alex, trying to be low-key, breaking the ice, and asking him, as a serious man, do you actually have humor? Do you have a humorous side? And you would think, him being who he is, Mr. Great One, General, Deputy Minister, Member of Parliament, Leader of UDM, he would know what to do. No, apparently he couldn't. He couldn't even crack a joke. Or he couldn't even say, hey man, I'm not humorous at all, hey? I'm quite a serious person given the serious job that I do. But already from the onset, you could tell that this interview is doomed. You could tell that. And I understand Uput Alex, I'm not a frequent listener. I don't know how he does his show. I understand that it's perhaps the culture of his show to let people speak freely. But I also feel that he should have interceded. I feel that he should have dealt with the situation way before, right? to actually indicate to Bantubonke Holomisa that, hey, Mdala, please allow for the callers to ask their questions, and then you can proceed to answer. He didn't do that. The only time when he interjected was for him to say, please retract the phrase, go to hell. But it was too late. Now, go to hell. Why? Because Bantubonke Holomisa figures that, you know what, angincengi mina. And that pretty much sums up GNU, right? I mean, they come up with this fake narrative ukuthi yini enivotele GNU. Umphakathi othe ufuna le GNU. They feed you with that propaganda. And then they then go on to say that, oh, we are entitled to behave in the manner that we do because we've got full autonomy. We can do as we please. Angeke sizwe ngani. That's why it goes on to call people mfana. That's why it goes on to disrespect other politicians. Njengabo Faru nje. Yabo Faru naye bamngenelele lapha kule interview. Ufaru yena ubhiza CIC ngapha his political peer in terms of parliament is busy using undesirable, disrespectful language against him. But that says more about Bantubonke Holomisa, right? In terms of what type of person he is. But more so about the GNU. What type of people they've onboarded. What type of people have united. These are people who have disregarded the voter. Who have consolidated power. And then they talk about things such as, when it comes to government, it's no longer about ideology. When it comes to the GNU, it's not about that. Another lie, which we actually explore more TTBIA, right? If you check out the episode Smoke and Mirrors, that's where we dissect this whole thing at GNU in its first year. But yes, Tina, as umphakathi, I guess we are also to blame because we don't do anything when such things happen. So complain and let's complain. But these people know very well that come voting time, le lima lezi zizosivotela. Bayathanda or abathandi. That's why even Mr. Ramaphosa can use that as a electioneering slogan. Bayathanda or abathandi. And when you think about the state of the country, the economy, then you just have to wonder, like, why would a public leader behave in such a way? Why? It's because bayazi ukuthi lama loan abawatholayo kubo World Bank nabo WEF lekolota abazenzayo ukuthi mhlambe yimali abayenza ubugebengu ngawe. Asazi mhlawumbe. It's the criminality of the GNU, perhaps. Shame on you, Bantubonke Holomisa. Shame on you, UDM. I know a member of the UDM tried to profess some type of apology, but it was honestly supposed to come from Holomisa. Alas, it won't. And neither will a government of national unity do anything about it. Do you agree or disagree?